is Fawziyya Zacharia, and also we have a special guest. But first, quote, doing what's right within your power to meet the needs within your community will make a world of difference for you, your community, and the world. This is by Adejuwan Adeboke, who is the MWF coordinator and the Ali network coordinator at the US Mission Abuja. So today we sit on to our program promoting volunteering, but today we are beginning a unique section. And we're introducing the Spotlight section of Volunteers Hour, a program under Analysis 360 on Radio Maria. This session highlights the work of Changemakers in Nigeria. Now, democracy is not to be government of the people, by the people and for the people. And this puts people at the centerpiece of the center and the core of our democracy. When you take a look at this, it shows that without the people, democracy cannot work. And it is the people that democracy serves. So this program, Spotlight session on Volunteers Hour, we highlight the works of great men and women in the country. Our guest today is somebody who is a super active Nigerian citizen who demands for good governance, accountability, and transparency. She is unapologetic about her stance in fighting for justice and equity. She is a businesswoman also. This is an aspect people may not know. And her voice, she uses her voice to demand for good governance through her organization called Citizen Hub. She's a member of the Bring Back Our Girls movement that have been advocating for the rescue of schoolgirls that were abducted from their school in 2014. She's the immediate past chairperson of the strategic team of the movement. She was part of the NSAS protest that took place in Nigeria, which was aimed at putting an end to police brutality in Nigeria. And she was due to be the Statue of Liberty for her courage and stance in defying the attacks on citizens by the police during the protest. She was also named one of BBC 100 Women 2020, a list of 100 inspiring and influential women from around the world for 2020. She is also a Stanford Draper Hill Summer Fellow and a contributor to the book of essays, Remaking Nigeria, 60 Years, 60 Voices. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Aisha Yesufu. Please, let's clap for Aisha.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to Volunteers Hours on Radio Maria. This program is focused on talking about issues around volunteering. Of course, volunteering is part of active civic engagement, and what you do is part of civic engagement. You know, we know your story, we know the things you've done in the past, and so I want to ask you, what do you think about volunteering before we delve into other aspects of your life?
What I think about volunteering is basically giving of yourself in whatever aspect it is that you can do. It could be giving of your time, being at places, making a difference, and doing something. And unfortunately, in this part of the country, it's not something that we do quite often. Most times, volunteering starts from when one is young, and if children can volunteer, we sometimes forget that.
I think I like that part.
No, we
not
do
many people
forget
talk
that.
about the aspect of
No,
children.
exactly. But that's where it's supposed to start. So it's something that it's nurtured. It's not something that you're just supposed to just know, just like that. So parents are supposed to actually nurture their children and build that culture of volunteering. And by the time they start it and they go into adulthood, teenagehood, young adults, and way much older adults, it becomes like second nature to them. When you see something happening, you're immediately going into volunteer. You're not waiting for somebody else to come and get it done. You're not just sitting down and complaining about it, but you're just giving of your time and whatever you can do to make it.
I think I agree with you completely. There was a research I did some time ago, and the result is shocking. The results show that most of our students in secondary school, they are not familiar with volunteering. So the results show that the majority of people who volunteer today, they became aware from 16 years of age and above. but majority engaged in volunteering when they were around 20, 21, 22. So yes, it's good enough that yeah, that's 2021 to see the youth age, but like you said, it is important we get young people involved.
Not just, I'm not saying young people, I'm saying children.
Children, yeah.
From the age of 3, 4, 5, 6, your children should be volunteering for something. They should know that they're part of a community, they are part of a society, and when they see something that it's not, or that it's being done, they can just give up their time. It's not so much as hard work. It depends on little things that you can do. Like you have, like in other country, you could have like something, money needs to be raised for something, and you see a 5-year-old coming out in front of a house to either sell cupcakes or lemonade or something, and just saying, I want to raise money for certain things to be done. And if there are certain countries where if you're going into university, your volunteering track actually means a lot. If you don't have any, you most likely will not even be able to get. I think Canada has a more strict rules on that. You need to check that out. So it really affects you. Why do I know this? And you know, earlier on you talked about ASU and the fact that a lot of public officials, they have their children out of the country. My son, my kids also school out of the country. So now for everybody that's listening, I'm using my private money. So that's a difference.
Yeah, so you're not part of the people who are worried
I'm not
about
using the public money. So my son had to go to UK when he was, how old was he now? He was 14. So at the age of 14, he had to leave Nigeria to go to UK to start secondary school. That was after his study because my son is dyslexic. Dyslexia is a learning disability, and of course he couldn't. Nigeria didn't have what he needed, the kind of learning that he needed. So we made that decision to take him out. And from that age, you know, they were volunteering. There were certain activities in the from like there was a newspaper article they sent to me where they had raised money for the hospice donation. He was 14. He did it. There was some swimming. They had to do some charity swimming to raise money and stuff like that. I know that was when I realized that look over here, we really don't teach our children about volunteering and all of that. But you know, out in other countries, kids as young as 5, 4, they're actually doing something. I think that's the kind of culture we need to imbibe in our children. My daughter left when she was left Nigeria when she was 16 and started school, and she has been doing a lot of those volunteering things. Beyond volunteering, also it's donation. You understand? Like my daughter, she's 20 now. She'll be 21 in December, and she started donating. Is it £10 to Amnesty International? From the 17. Wow. And she does that every month. Wow. So you see the difference that it makes. And that's something, I'm 48. I've never done anything like that to say, okay, every month I'm donating to certain.
You're not that committed.
Yeah, I was an adult, I think, for me, before, you know, the normal, and I would look at it in terms of, you know, you have a lot of people you're helping, every one of us Africans, you know, you have your baggage, and I'm the first child, you know, it is everything. But, you know, being an 18-year-old and being committed to donating something of yours to a cause, I mean, that's amazing. And those are the kind of things that we need to be teaching our children.
Yeah, I think we need to give credit to the parents as well. You know, people like you, children who have such a parent like you, of course, you would learn certain things. And now, for the listeners, you may want to know why should we get children involved in volunteering? One, it makes them learn about patriotism. It keeps them in the know of civic duties and responsibilities. It builds the mind of empathy in them. It helps them to take responsibility and learn about commitment. They learn about sacrifice and giving, like Aisha's daughter. It makes them become active citizens in the future. It improves their sense of organization, a necessary job skill which they would utilize in the future. You know, and also working frequently with people will build their level of tolerance and self-confidence. It helps children to understand how to channel their energy positively during their idle time. I mean, there are a lot of stuff we can talk about, you know. So, but the good thing is that if you want to, why focus on this aspect of this conversation for our listeners as well? We probably will say this too. One of the dangers of allowing children to volunteer is that it exposes them to possibility of abuse and harassment. So that scares some people. But the truth is that you don't have to be scared. There are things you need to know. When you want to expose, you want to mentor your children to volunteer, you must understand that that child should be mentored. You don't take a child to a place you cannot monitor the child. So I think that's a bit about that. So I'm not the only one in the studio. Fawziyya has been looking. She has so much questions to okay, so
first, good morning, Abuja. Good morning to our guests. It's such an honor to meet you here.
Thank you.
I'm very excited for that. So I guess my first question would be, really, what inspires you to continue this journey? Because I am reading through your story and I also noticed that this active, it didn't start now. It doesn't start back to being like girls when we all knew of you, like started since when you were a little girl. And so like that's a long time to continue with. So it can get very tiring. So what inspires you to continue this journey?
Okay. Thank you so much, Fawziyya. It's really been a pleasure meeting you. For me, I would say, like, sometimes people ask me, how do you get to do what you do? And I'm thinking there's no other way. This is who I am. I've always been a vocal person, and I've always been one who, in fact, when I was young, I got a lot of pity. You know, what the normal African, you call the stubborn child because, you make demands and stuff like that. And I just couldn't see injustice and keep quiet. And even if you're going to beat me, I will still say it. I was less than 10 when I realized that the worst thing any human being can do to me is to kill me. And that it's not the worst thing because I'm going to die anyways. And I was less than 10. And so that for me just kept me going. The reason why I kind of want to stop, I grew up poor. I would go to school in the morning without breakfast. Coming back home, I wasn't expecting lunch. When I was writing my SSC in 1991, I didn't have textbooks, and I begged. I remember begging people. There's this chemistry textbook called About You and all of that, and that PVP and OKK, physics, and I begged and begged, just give me this thing, I'll give you A's. And I never got those things. And I knew how it was being from the part of the state. I grew up in Kano, a place called Kwanahodu. Is the ghetto, the Ajagule of Lagos, where you're not seen as a human being. And poverty, if you're poor, you're nameless, faceless, and voiceless. You're not seen as a human being in Nigeria. And there were parents who didn't even want their children to associate with some of us because we came from that side of the state. And so growing up, I saw what it was being in that position where you're not regarded as a human being just because of the circumstances of your birth. And I fought that. I didn't want that. And so as an adult, I know that there are a lot of children who are also in that same position that I used to be in. When I turned 40, the first 40 years of my life, really, my activity was within my circle. When I was in school, my first protest was in 1992 when I went to the university. As I was going to the university, my parents said to me, don't go and protest, don't go and join them. They knew they would just say, of course I was there. My first semester in the university, there was a protest they sent us home. But I focused in schools and immediate I wasn't focused on the national issues because I needed to have my financial independence. Like I said earlier, if you're poor, you're faceless, nameless, and voiceless, and I didn't want that. And so when I turned 40, I had already got to my financial independence. I'm a businesswoman. I've never worked for anyone, and I have no interest of working for anyone. I started my business in the year 2000. On my 40th birthday, I realized that I was the problem of Nigeria. My silence. When things were happening, I was just going about my
like
business.
that part. You're taking responsibility.
Yes,
Yeah.
honestly, I just started. So I realized, this is my life. And I remember as a teenager, I was a very angry teenager. I hated the country the way it was, the corruption, the bad governance, the things that weren't working well. And I would say to my father, when my father would tell me of the glorious old days and how their university had, and I'm like, but you couldn't even keep that for me. Now you're seeing what we have right now. You're telling me of the good old days. And today my kids also are looking at me and like, Mommy, what? So you didn't keep what you had for me. So I realized that there are also children out there who went through what I was going through. When I was angry at the adults who would see the bad things that were happening in Nigeria, they wouldn't do anything. And so I'm like, no, from this day, by the grace of God, I'm going to be more invested in what is happening in the country. And 4 months after that, Chibok abduction happened. And I was part of the demand to rescue them the very first day. So for me, it's something that I can't afford to give up. I can't even afford to say I'm not doing it. Like I said to people, if the people who give us bad governance are not getting tired or wearied, then those of us who are demanding for good governance, we don't even have any business thinking about giving up. But there's one thing I would always say for people who say to me, we want to go into activism or volunteer or stuff like what do you want to do? I always say to them, do it because it's something you want to do, not because it's something you have to do. Because it's when you want to do it, no matter the kind of attacks you get, you will stay on. You're not doing it, but if it's a need that needs to be fulfilled and you go in, when those attacks start coming, you just get weary. Because in Nigeria, actually, people are living in an abusive relationship with their government. And so when you even come and you're trying to fight for their rights, one, they're suspicious of you. One, they do not think, they think maybe you're coming to do one thing or the other, you're trying to get money out of them, and they will actually attack you. So those are some of the things that people have to keep in mind.
Interesting. I mean, I like the part where you said you are part of the problem. Because, you know, like the definition of democracy caption is governments of the people, by the people, and for the people. And so when there's injustice in the system, we don't speak up. We are part of the problem.
Yeah.
That's taking responsibility. So now, we'll have more time with our guests, Abuja. But for now, we'll go on a quick short break. We'll be right back, Abuja. Abuja, we are still on to Volunteers Hours on Analysis 360 on Radio Maria. Today is our spotlight on Changemakers, and we still have with us here our guest is Aisha Yesufu. She's a super active citizen who has spoken for the rights of the people. Somebody who was really involved and advocating for the release of the Chibok girls. She has done so many things to inspire many Nigerians, and we're glad to have Aisha Yesufu in the studio.
Thank you.
So I just, a lot of people watched the NSAS protest. Some of us were deeply involved, you know. Then you have not known with them, but we marched side by side, you know. So I want to ask you this. How did it strike you differently when you heard stories of people who were brutalized by people who are supposed to protect them in Nigeria, which is the police force?
It was quite traumatizing, really. So in my own case, I didn't even know of SARS, honestly, until maybe around 2017 or 2016 or 17. when people started talking about, SARS, what is SARS?
Simply because you grew up in the north, right?
Yeah, so though it's also in the north,
Yeah, so
and the activities,
let me tell you why I said you grew up in the north, right? In the south, there's nobody who doesn't know SARS. Do you understand?
So in my own case, I'm a bit. So let me tell you, I was this kind of person that tuned off Nigeria until I turned 60. Like my husband will say to you, there is Aisha before 2014 and Aisha after 2014. So literally, the president could sit beside me, and I wouldn't even know who he was. That was how tuned off I was with the country. So in my own case, and I will agree with you, yes, being from the north, because it's not as predominant as it is back south. But when we travel back home, during holidays or something, I'm from Edo State, so a lot of people assume I'm not from the north, I'm from Edo State. And so when you're going back home, they're always there, they wear their jeans, and you see them, they just carry go, they just be on the road like that. But I didn't know that those were SARS. But I'm like, I was telling my husband, these people, they look like armed robbers. And I'm like, if I'm driving, I'm not going to stop. I mean, you're wearing your mufti and then you carry gun and stuff like that. So I didn't know anything about. So when I kept saying SARS, SARS brutality, so I kept asking people, what's going on? What is even SARS? So that's when I started hearing the stories. And for me, I've never had any contact. There's nobody that I knew of that had been brutalized. I don't have any family member. I didn't even know anything about them. So first of all, it was that knowing the knowledge. And while I say this, I need to let people understand that don't minimize people's pain or people's experience, because there are a lot of people who, because something has not struck them, they are not able to empathize. So they feel that, oh, okay, what is there? There's really nothing. No, when people tell you they are going through something, you need to listen to them. You need to validate their feelings. Don't come and tell them that, oh, Dad, it's not really that important. You are not being oppressed. So that was the first thing I needed to do, was to learn what this was all about. And so I said we started that journey. And the first NSAS protest was actually in December 2017. Many people think the first protest started 2020. No, it was December 2017. Not many people came out, even though there were a lot of people who were talking about it online. But on that day at the protest that they weren't there. But when I got with the 2020 protest, seeing a lot of people talking about their experience, it was so heartbreaking. There were people who had been brutalized many times over in different states. Women talking about how they were raped, what they went through in the hands of those who were supposed to protect them. And you have people, the police who were supposed to protect the people, Special Anti-Robbery Squad, right? That's the meaning for the acronym. And then they became the robbers who were given guns by the state, and they were robbing people. They were brutalizing people. They were maiming people. They were extorting money from people. They would literally follow you to the machine, dispensing machine, and take money. And people were coming out to say they will force you to transfer. This is where we transfer this money to the police. You can trace it. You can do, and nothing was being done. So just hearing about all the different stories and families. And so at the NSAS protest, and one of my friends, Florence, also just put it in a way. She said, "Look, NSAS protest is a protest for survival. It wasn't like Bring Back Our Death protest, which was a protest for empathy. Most of us that were there, we weren't victims, but you felt, oh, people had been taken away. But with the NSAS protest, most of them were victims, or they had family members, or they knew of someone who was a victim. And so the pain, you could feel the pain, you could feel the tears, you could feel the tragedy of it all. And for me, it was really heartbreaking. It's one of those protests where you feel so heartbroken about the whole nation as a whole.
All right, so we'll take it off from there. But before we go on, I think the phone lines will be open now. So take the numbers.
Oh yeah, the line to call is 081 084 47518. Again, 081 084 47518.
All right, Abujas, you can join this conversation. You have a rare opportunity to answer our guest questions. For most of you who saw statue, the entire statue.
That was crazy.
Yeah, so it was inspiring to know that a woman will stand up for the rights of many other Nigerians. So,
and as a Muslim woman, it was inspiring to see another Muslim woman in a hijab, and it was very inspiring to see how it unified all of us. Everybody loved the picture, in support of the picture. Sorry, there was no much division like in normal conversations when you're talking about the hijab and everything. So yeah, that was.
Thank you, Fawziyya.
All right, so the number to call again is 081 084 475 18. I'll take it again. 081 084 47518. So we'll have a call coming in. Hi, good morning. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay, my name is Jane, and I'm calling from Nigeria-Abuja.
Oh,
I want to really commend our guest speaker, Aisha. I've been following her both on social media
yay!
Thank you.
speaking this morning.
Yay.
Aisha, I want to let you know that you're an inspiration to some of us.
Oh.
Though we are very silent, and I think your story has really inspired me this morning, actually, to do much more than just sit back and watch our government continue to drain this country to process. So once more, I want to say thank you for all you do. We appreciate you, and we pray God to continue to strengthen you.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you
so much, Jane. Thank you for your kind words. I do not take it for granted. Thank you.
You know, so one interesting thing about leadership is that you just do your thing and people get inspired.
Yeah.
And that's why it's good that leaders must be of good conduct. You know, have you thought about mentoring more young people in what you're doing?
Yeah, mentoring is something I do all the time. There are a number of young women, young men that I do mentor, if I can use that word. And it's something. It's about giving back. It's about paying back. And so it's something that I do. For me, I love to teach. I love everything of mine is about let somebody else learn it. You don't have to. They say experience is the best teacher, but who says you have to experience it to learn it? So learn from other people's experience, which is always the best. So that for me, I do that a lot. And let me just talk about that picture that went viral. So I did that protest. It was the craziest moment ever. On that day, I didn't even know. The picture that went viral, there's even an experience that was deeper than that. When the police had shot the tear gas and they started shooting, everybody ran away, and I just held my hands up and I was just walking slowly, and they were shooting at me. And I thought at that moment the bullet was going to go into me. The only thing I said, God, please, if the bullet is entering me, let it go through my heart so that I will die instantly. And I don't want to be on the floor and then some policemen will be gloating over me. And so I just kept going and they kept shooting. And for me, what came at the unintended outcome of that was that they couldn't pursue the protesters, so which gave them more time to run away. So they were just at my back, just shooting. There was a guy who had a picture of that, but I never got to see it. It was my friend that saw it. If literally myself, I look at it and I'm like, I've had more pictures that, police were surrounding you, had to fight your way through with police. Then what was different with that? But the thing also comes from the fact that it's about consistency. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's not about, you don't know, there are certain times that things will just align sort of like, that shouldn't be the focus, but just if you keep doing what you're doing, someday the world will see it and be like, oh, okay. But for me, it's just like one of those pictures that I've taken over the years of, that defiance, you raise your fist, they want to come and attack you, they want to shoot you, and saying to them, yeah, this is me, put the bullet through me. But let me say something here, which I've said a lot, the NSAS protest. I'm not an organizer of the NSAS protest. It was done by the youth, especially the one that we saw in the Abuja. It's this young guys, ladies and guys in their early 20s who just decided enough is enough on that. They had their WhatsApp group. They started, Olumide was one who started it, had this WhatsApp group, called his friends, and the next morning they were on the street. After we had done our own NSAS protest, that was on the 9th of October 2020, and they were attacked by police. And so that attack was what made me come out to join them. And so when we went on the 10th, they came out also and said they were still going to go on their protest. So I was there. For me, almost all throughout the day, I just sat at the back. I sat on the floor and we're like, I'm here to support you guys. You're doing that. And they did amazingly well. It was when the police stood up and they lined up with their guns and their tear gas, they wanted to shoot. Yeah, that was when I came to the front and I said to them, if you're going to shoot them, then you have to put the bullet through me. So this is something that the youth were the ones who did it. And you guys were amazing. You don't even understand how proud I am of the Nigerian youth. You guys, you threw away the generational hatred. You came together, you worked together, you were creative, you were intelligent, you were doing things that even, you know, the organizational skills was top notch. It's just unfortunate that the government didn't understand how to react to the situation, and they did what they do also, which is to bring in brutality and violence. But you guys did amazingly well, and I'm so glad that right now you're putting all of that together as we go into the 2023 election. The NSAS protest, a lot of people said it was a failure. What they didn't realize that what it freed the minds of the people. It emancipated the Nigerian youth for them to understand that indeed they are citizens in their country, they are not slaves. And so what has happened now is that the demand side of governance, because there are two sides of governance, the demand side and the supply side. The people who are voted into office, they supply. And then the people who vote them in are supposed to make demand, which hasn't been there all this while. But the Nigerian youth, they have woken up to that, and we're going to see, we're already seeing the huge difference that is making. And for me, I'm rooting for you guys.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
You know, there's something interesting about the NSAS, right? It was an opportunity to educate one Nigerians about their civic rights and responsibility. Sure. I recall on the day in Bega, the first day the Bega roundabout was called off. You know, when I joined the protest at the Bega, I saw that a lot of people were on top of the bridge. They were all looking at the few young men and women who were protesting. So I came down from my car and I had a loudspeaker. I brought it out. So when they knew that I was around, they ushered me in and I had to speak. And there's some guy said that changed about me. I told them, what I did, I just reminded them of the fundamental rights of every citizen and the responsibility of the citizen. After speaking for like 5 minutes, even those who are on top of the bridge, they came down. Because their fear was this, they thought it was illegal to protest. You know, so by the time I reminded them that it is our rights to demand, you know, it was a game changer. And that's one thing I think Nigerians have come to understand, that, look, we have rights, we have responsibility, and the government has to meet the needs of the people. I mean, so I thought I should put that in. So,
let me just quickly add something. You see, the first set of dictators that Nigerians came across are actually parents. Parents are the ones who do not allow their children to make demands. And so a lot of people, what they did is that they grew up and they simply replaced their parents with government and authority. You remember as a child, you're told don't speak when adults are speaking. Don't make demands on your parents. You must respect them and all sorts of things. For me personally, I brought up my children to know that they have a voice and they must always use it, and there's nobody that you don't make demands on or you don't hold accountable. And I held myself accountable. And even up to today, I let my children know that if the only reason you're respecting me is because I'm your mother or I'm older than you, then I'm not deserving of your respect. And I'll share an experience with you. My 10-year-old daughter at that time, that was 2011, no, she wasn't even 10, she was 2012. So she was 10. And so I was going to drop her in school. My son was the one who was attending the Regent Secondary School. She was in primary 6 at that time. And so while we were going to school, the gates closed at 8 p.m. For anybody who is a parent at the Regent Secondary School, you know they're very strict about those things. If the gate closed, you're not going in wherever you are. And so when we were approaching, we left the house quite early. We went to get some money, and there was a lot of queue. We got too late. So I got to a place and I said to my children, look, I know it's late, it's night. There's a shortcut here that is one way. If we go through it, we're going to get to the school in time. But if we go the normal way, we'll miss the time. What do you think? My daughter just said, no, mommy, you can't do that. It's against the law, even though it's night and whatever. I said, fine. So we took the long way. And when we got to the gate of the school, of course, they had closed. And so I said, yeah. So we turned back and we came back home. So my son that was supposed to drop, we left his things in. He went inside, he slept. The following morning, when we woke up, normally to wake up my son, it takes a lot. But when I woke up and I walked into his room to wake him up, he was already awake, he was already dressed. So on that day, 3 of us learned lessons, right? My daughter learned that she has a voice, and she must always voice out, and she must always insist that the right thing has to be done.
I like that. My
son realized that for every behavior, for a bad behavior, there's a consequence attached to it, and if you don't do well, you're going to pay the price. So he missed school that day. And I learned that at every time, whether it's afternoon, night, or whatever, the right thing has to be done. Whether it's a shortcut or you want to, there's nothing. The right is the right thing to do. And so most times parents don't allow this. They feel that it's disrespectful when their children make demands on them. I, for one, my proudest moments as parent is when my children look me in the eye and say, Mommy, you're wrong on this. Mommy, why did you do this? When they hold me accountable, that means they are citizens who understand, they're human beings who understand their rights and they understand the right and wrong, and they're not apologetic about ensuring that the right thing is done. And I think parents need to understand that making demands, being active citizens, start from the home, and they should allow their children to learn that from them.
Wow, that's a great one. All right, Abuja, you are still tuned on to Radio Maria, the voice of truth, and we are on the Analysis 360 Volunteers Hour. Today we are spotlighting Aisha Yesufu. She's such an amazing woman. So, I think we have to clap for her.
You know, like
Thank
I
you.
have carried so many quotes and so many, I don't know, like it will stay with me. So
Thank you.
So you can be part of this conversation. You want to ask her a question? We're running out of time, so if you want to ask a question, you have to do that quickly. The number to call is
081 084 475 18. Again, 081 084 475 18.
all right, Abuja. You should call in to ask her a question if you want, and you have to make a contribution. Please do so. If you have not volunteered before, remember this is Volunteers Hour every Tuesday on Radio Maria, a program where we share information about volunteering and we promote volunteering in Nigeria. It's a platform whereby we give young people opportunity to grow. Volunteering has changed our lives and we want other people to experience that as well. Today we're still on to, we're still having our guest, Aisha Yesufu. Oh, we have a call coming in. Hi, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Bruce from Kuji.
Okay, great. What's your
I guess
contribution?
that is Save Nigerian Group Covenant.
Come again?
I think Mrs. Yusuf is among the Save Nigerian Group Covenant.
Okay,
No, I'm not.
okay.
I think, is it Bring Back Our Girls?
Yeah, bring back our girls.
Save Nigerian Group, yes.
No, I'm not. I'm not part of this. I'm not a convener.
To the Bakari and other.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is that all?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you.
No, so let me just say that I'm not. I wish I were. I wasn't an
Okay,
active
so
citizen
another
then.
call is coming. Hi, good morning. What's your name?
Radio Maria.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Colin.
Okay.
I'm calling from Abuja.
Okay, great. So, what's your contribution?
Good morning, Aisha.
Good morning.
We really appreciate you. This opportunity. God bless you.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you. So,
Let's continue. And we want to take that time to keep it on.
Thank you.
Because most Nigerians just saying most Nigerians to know their rights. And it is a high time educating them to know that they have rights. Because as 2023 is coming, we also support of you and encouraging you that you should keep it up. We are behind you. Now we are obedient. Stand and we want to represent this country and get this nation that we are the owner of this country. So we have to do something to put this country in the right place. Enough of all this banditry and all this kidnapping and all this thing that is happening. Let us do the right thing at this time and take this, all these people, these leaders that are not ready to serve this country to get away and let us bench them. So we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
all right, thank you. So, before the call, you want to say something about the Save Nigeria Group thing?
Oh, okay. No, okay. Yeah, I was saying that. No, I'm not part of. I'm not a convener. I wasn't part of them, but I wish I were. But at that time, I wasn't an active citizen, and that was way before 2014. It was on my 40th birthday, December 12, 2013, that I decided that I have to be an active citizen. So that was
a game changer.
For me, that was a game changer. But let me just quickly say, so I don't know why he wanted to say. So there's something about the Save Nigeria group. So the Save Nigeria group were the ones who marched and insisted that former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, then the Vice President, should be made the acting president when the late President Yaradua was sick, and there were a certain group of people who didn't want him into power. So this same people, this same Save Nigeria group marched and insisted that he should be made acting president. And come forward to when the president then wasn't doing the right thing, this same Save Nigeria group marched to tell the same president that, look, you're not doing the right thing, and all of that. And I see a lot of Nigeria who are angry at them, who have this angst and, oh, why did they march? They're the ones that did this and all of that. They've forgotten that when his rights were being oppressed, they also marched for him. And most people don't understand that relationship. They feel that if you support somebody, you must support him forever, whether he's doing the right thing or not. No, as citizens, whoever is there, if they're doing the right thing, fine, clap for them. If they're doing the wrong thing, be able to hold them accountable.
Now, let's go back to that. I think let's reflect on that second march. I think why they protested at that time was on the issue of fuel subsidy.
Yeah.
And today now, in retrospect, people are saying that, okay, if Nigerians will come out to protest about the fuel subsidy removal that brought about fuel to be about 120 at that time, then we know there's no subsidy. Now we're paying 185. I bought fuel yesterday, 185, and others. And when I told my friend, he told me that, wow, you're lucky that I got around 250 and all that. So the question is, if Nigerians could protest 120 at that time, what is stopping Nigeria from protesting?
Okay. So I will come in that. Yeah. The Nigerians that protested at that time, you understand, they did their protest. What is stopping the Nigerians that did not protest at that time to come out and protest now? Nobody owes anybody a protest. And that's what people sit down in their houses and they are commanding other people to protest on their behalf. Let me talk, okay, you remind me, the Occupy Nigeria that happened. Yeah. I probably would have come out to Occupy Nigeria. That would have been something I would have done. The only reason why I did not come out for Occupy Nigeria because I wanted fuel subsidy to be removed. As far as I come, and this is my personal opinion, that was the only thing for me that Jonathan had done. I'm like, okay, finally, the president is acting like a president because he was actually incompetent, no doubt about it. This is the same way this president has failed. So the fact that there is more failure now, you won't go back and say that, oh, why did people not do the right thing? Even though I wasn't with them, I supported them. Because for the first time, we saw Nigerians coming together and fighting for a common cause, even though, you know, at the end of the day, they all went home. So when people sit down to say that, oh, fuel was so amount that time, why are they not this? By how many percentage was it increased? It was increased in such a way that the country wasn't even carried along. People had gone for Christmas. And then, oh, boom, New Year, everything had come. People couldn't travel. People were stranded, literally stranded. And there were these people who came out to say, no, why are you increasing it this way? And then we have Nigerians who sit down pretty, and they're saying that, oh, the same Nigeria group should come out again. No, they don't owe you protest. Guys, you do your own. They call their own Save Nigeria. You call your own Defend Nigeria group and come out and do the protest.
All right, that's interesting. I mean, Nigeria, you could see that it's our collective responsibility to do the right thing. If you don't have to wait for Aisha Yesufu to protest because there's fuel hike or because ASU is on strike. It's our civic duty to do the right thing. So you can't actually organize. You can't come out to protest. They're in the other same country. You see one man protest.
Absolutely. Even here we've had them.
Yeah, and that's snowball into a national protest. You know, so we can do that. Now, before we go, I want to ask you this. Who is Aisha Yesufu that others don't know?
Okay, so before I answer that question, let me quickly say to people that, look, you can volunteer at any level. It could be like your school. There's something that is done in your office. There's something that is being done in your school. Just give up your time. Now is the political season, and people can actually volunteer with their time. You can help those who are campaigning, be part of their campaign team. Yes. You can help them raise funds. You can do one thing or the other. So volunteering is not a difficult thing. It's something that it's easily done. So the Aisha Yesufu that people don't know is probably the fun Aisha Yesufu. A lot of people think I'm this serious person. Some people see me, they're like, oh, so you laugh. And like the only time I get angry is the fact that it's when government makes me angry. Otherwise, I'm this fun-loving person. I'm always goofing around. I'm the one that will joke, make you laugh, and just say those silly things. I have an amazing husband. I'm 48 years old. I was 24 when I got married, and I've been married for 24 years.
Wow!
And by August 5th, I got married when I was 24 years, 4 months and 5 days. And by August 5th, I think, I would have been married, if I'm still alive, I'll be married for 24 years 4 months and 5 days.
Wow.
So I'm looking towards that day. So that's something. And I'm one person. For me, insult means nothing to me. And as for anybody who is volunteering, because people will question your motive
Yeah.
a lot. They will say, oh, you're doing it for the money, you're doing it for the glam, you're doing it for the camera, you're doing it for this and doing it. Don't bother. Don't listen to people. People have a right to their opinion. If somebody comes to insult me today and say, Aisha, you're ugly, that's the person's right to say I'm ugly, because maybe his eyes is seeing ugly. I'm saying beautiful. I have a man who calls me every day also say the beautiful one. So what you have to do is that don't get angry at people. I take insults as the same way I take compliments. If I don't get angry when people praise me, I have no business getting angry when people insult me. And so just allow people have a right to their opinion, but their opinion is not your reality. And I'm one person, I don't hold issues. I don't how do I put it now? I don't bear grudges. But if you do anyhow, you will see anyhow.
I can see Casey clapping for you from there. Okay, so this is interesting.
So
You have to say something.
Yes. I first want to ask a quick question. So as a mental health advocate, I'd like to ask, because I know this kind of job, it takes a toll on you.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
And at some point you would experience burnout, that tiredness. So what do you do to prevent burnout, or if it ever happens, what do you do to get on and stop the burnout? How do you prevent burnout?
So I am somebody I'm a very passionate person, and I'm very empathetic. So one of the reasons why, before even up to today, I avoid TVs, I avoid radios and stuff like that, because the moment I see news, something bad has happened. I have what they call survivor's guilt, and I'm thinking, why is it not me? Why is it that person? Oh, it could have been my brother, it could have been my sister, it could have been my child, and stuff like that. And my whole day is gone. And so for mental health and I'm glad you brought this up, it's something that a lot of people stigmatize, don't talk about it. Mental health is the same thing as the physical, the other health issues that we have. The way I will have headache, sometimes we have malaria, typhoid, or is it cancer, or whatever. That's the same way that mental health, and something that people should recognize. When I gave birth to my first child, that was in 1999, I had postpartum depression. And I went through a lot. And I didn't even know it was postpartum depression. It was years later that I realized, okay, what I went through then, this is what it is. And over the years also, especially in the case of advocacy, because you come up, you see man's inhumanity to man at its worst stage, and you're broken. And for somebody like me that actually feels a lot, it takes its toll. And I can tell you, there were moments at the Bring Back Our Girls movement, because what the Bring Back Our Girls movement did to me was that it forced me to bring up the memories that I had oppressed, I had suppressed as a child, all the things I went through. So it was like my own story saying it play out. And for the first time, I had to deal with a lot of things. You know, when you're struggling, when you're trying to survive, when you food not dey ground, when person get time to dey cry, you just dey go, that kind of thing. Let me enter my own dad. You're just struggling and surviving, and so you throw away a lot of pain. So Impact Our Girls brought that, and there were moments I just felt like, can I just walk down the road and just get this ended? Let me just go and stuff like that. So you have those kind of moments. What I do is that I express my feeling the way it is. I could literally cry right now if there's something that makes me cry. I don't do, I'm ashamed of my feelings or ashamed of my weakness. My moments of weakness, I take it on and I go through it. My moment of strength, I'm not apologetic about it. And so for me, that's the way I'm able to deal with it. And I will give you an experience I had recently. On the day that the train abduction happened, that was, I think, end of March 29th or so, the Kaduna train abduction that happened. You know of the lady that did that tweet that said, I've been shot, please pray for me. Because the moment she did that tweet, I saw it. And writing on top, I'm like, okay, by the grace of God, you'll be okay, did all the prayers, just hold on, Isha, and everything, the word and everything. And all throughout seeing what was happening, people, there was denial. I went to bed, I woke up in the morning, and I picked my phone. After everything, I went on Twitter, and the first thing I saw was that she had died. And I was broken. I was broken, I was weeping, I knew, and at that moment, I was just sick and tired of life. I'm like, because that survivors do, why am I still here when this young lady, I'm far older than her, You understand? She's just starting her life. This is what did she do wrong? She just went on the journey. This is what she was going to. And see, and I saw how heinous Nigerians were to her. People who were telling her, she'll share the picture. If they shoot you, will you say it? And I'm like, did she read those things before she died? You know, all of that. So I was sobbing. I knew I couldn't stay alone. Mentally, I was gone. So what I did at that moment, I started a space. I just went on Twitter and I just put on a space just there. And I was just crying. And so people were joining. Aisha, what's it? Aisha, so I put in, you invite people to do that. What I couldn't do, I was screaming, someone were praying to me, just keep saying, at that moment, I know I didn't trust myself to be alone with myself because of the pain and everything I was going through. And so having people, strangers, just coming to say, okay, keep on. I think we were dead. It was such a heart-wrenching moment for me. And so it's really very difficult. And when you see people, for example, you're meeting a 3-year-old who has been raped by her fathers. I remember when we did Justice for Chloe, 3 years she had been raped by her father's cook, and the father was supporting the cook. Yeah, they had gotten lawyers and all of that for her. The mother was driven out of the house. When you see certain things, they just break you emotionally, and it just takes a lot. But I do advise people seek for mental mental health help. There's nothing wrong with therapy. Therapy is something that people shame. My son, who is dyslexic, he did therapy when he was 12. He had to do that for a year to work on his self esteem and all of that. So there's nothing to be ashamed of, because in Nigeria, the way if you are not at a certain academic level, the way they insult you, you can't amount to anything, you're sidelined and all of that. So what I would say in terms of that, for me basically, is that I try to live my life the way it is. I try to make sure my inside and my outside match. If I'm breaking up inside, I'm not going to show you a strong face. You're going to see me breaking up. It's either you work out or you help me support it. And, talking to people and just having strong system around is very important. Yeah, I have a strength in my husband and then my family, my children. So they're always, and I have the support system of amazing friends and things like that. And that really helps.
All right, Abuja, you've been listening to the voice of Aisha Yesufu. She's one superwoman who has influenced the lives of many people. She's an active citizen who demands for good governance and accountability and transparency in Nigeria. She fights for justice and equity. You've been on to Volunteers Hour under Analysis, Precision on Radio Maria, and with me has been
Fawziyya Zacharia.
But before we go, I want to say this. We profile Changemakers who are active citizens. But you can be part of the active citizens who are in Nigeria. One of the things we need to do, which are part of our obligation as citizens, is one, to pay taxes, obey the laws of the state or the land, vote during the election, volunteer for a cause or action in the community, report those breaking the law, report those committing crimes, give assistance to people in need, then civic education. Educate other people who don't know these things I just mentioned. You'll be listening to Volunteers Hour on Radio Maria, the voice of truth, and special thanks to all the callers, our special guests, Aisha Yesufu and Fawziyya Zacharia. We'll be leaving shortly, but I think I won't forgive myself if I don't say this. What's your last word?
My last word is that ensure that you hold yourself to higher standards than you hold other people. Make sure you don't break any laws. Do the right thing at all times, even when it's so uncomfortable. In that way, you don't get to start stammering when you're supposed to speak.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful session today. Goodbye, Abuja.
Thank you.